Hey, recently I took a hiatus from all things creation. I didn't want to burn out, but at the same time, I wasn't even close to burning out. In fact, I was on fire. I was turning like an oiled machine. One of my videos reached 10,000 views. And sure, the one after it didn't do so well, but I also wasn't trying to make it do well. I know for a fact it wasn't very interesting. I made it for myself. Now, I can't say that I'd keep going if my videos were averaging those kinds of views. I would have quit a long time ago, but it doesn't matter. A single hiccup doesn't matter, because I make most of what I make for myself anyways. Your guys' support is just a boost. But still, I took some time off. Time that could have been spent acting on some ideas that I've had. A million ideas still flooded around and through my head. Video ideas, book and short story ideas, music ideas, reflections and doubts and desires. I am hungry. I am antsy. I am the oldest I have ever been, and the youngest I will ever be again. So I need to get a move on. I need to work. I am troubled. I am content, but I'm utterly stranded, yet I'm surrounded. I'm sleeping and awake at the same time. I'm running. I'm drowning and breathing. I have sunk to the bottom, but I am soaring on air. I am talking instead of doing, because I think that I'm nervous. So I guess all that is to say, I wanted to catch up with myself. I feel like my body was running off without me. Like it had so much more that I could do, but I need to rest. It was leaving my brain behind, stranded. So many days passed me by with me thinking, God, I just want to keep working. I just want to work, but I have to sleep at some point. Though I'm sick and tired of sleeping. Anything worth doing takes time, but it takes more time than I can allot. I'm sick and tired of not being able to get everything done, and I'm tired of not getting everything that I need said, in fact said. I feel like I have so much to say. I have so much I want to throw out into the world and receive back, but I also have a ton that I don't want to throw into the world. I have so much that I want to just throw away. The amount of times that I've sat down and started writing what was, just a minute ago, an interesting, thought-provoking piece just to throw it away is kind of telling. The amount of times I've decided that my own work was the worst thing I have ever read is heartbreaking. So often now I have an idea and I simply throw it out. I refuse to write it down and I just forget it. I simply just don't like it anymore. I had the thought and it seemed cool, but it's really not. I just now decided that I don't like it anymore. It's worthless and I hate it. But recently, I've had something other than that feeling. And I don't know how to describe it. I've been almost scared to write something down. I've had this idea for a long, long time now. A couple months, in fact. I've wanted to write it for a long time. I've wanted to get my thoughts out, but I just don't like it. I do not like it. I do not like it because it frustrates me. It annoys me. It is stupid and it's trivial and utterly melodramatic. It's hopeless and nobody cares. I just need to grow up. But it's also important, and that's important. This thing's importance is important to me because it's everywhere. It's scary. It is this and it is that and it is whatever and it's constantly changing. But still, I'm almost scared to say what it is. Isn't that ironic? In my last video, I literally claimed to be a guy who is good at being social. I'm a social creature. Earlier, I claimed that I'm good at that sort of thing. So it's almost funny if it weren't so sad, obviously. You guys already know, right? You read the title? Well, yeah. That's it. It's that thing. Because it's awkward. I'm almost scared to say what it is because there isn't a cool way to say it. There's no fun way to say it. There's nothing to say that would make me sound smart. There's no way to make it anything but whiny. Well, so be it then, right? I'll just talk about it. What could go wrong? This is my dad. And God bless him. One day, he stopped me while I was walking through the living room, and we chit-chatted for a few minutes before we just got to talking. Now, talking with my dad is not just a case of, like, the ball rolling and conversation evolving. It is like an avalanche is coming your way, and you have to dodge out of the way, because my dad switches topics very easily, very quickly, very nonchalantly. His brain, as I've described it, works in references. He will connect something that he doesn't fully know to something that he does undoubtedly, even if it doesn't really relate. See, we talked about my schoolwork, which at the time was collision detection systems and video games. Directional vectors and hitboxes and bounding boxes got us talking about genetics and inherited traits through a very off-topic. Well, have you ever seen the people in real life who sometimes have very square heads? Oh, is that so, Dad? I love that guy. Well, I'm short, I said after some talk about bad genetics. Now, I would like to clarify something. I'm not that short. I'm average, but still, I'm not tall. Well, that's fine. They don't really care about height, he said. Yeah, well, we know that they do. We actually do know that, but whatever. I won't get into that. I've got other bad genetics too, you know. Like what? He asked. Well, for example, I inherited HSV1, which is why I get cold sores on my mouth when I'm really sick or really stressed. Well, what is HSV? He asked. We've had this conversation before. He just wants to hear me say it. He thinks it's funny, so I do. I say it. Well, Dad, it's a genetic form of herpes, and I'm not embarrassed about it because it's not my fault. So he could just say this, or is it the kind you get from kissing them? And again, I'm a grown man, so that sort of thing doesn't embarrass me. Well, no, it's because someone in my family had it, and they passed it to me. Well, we don't know that for sure, he stated, so surely. No, I can confirm that it's not, Dad. Well, how do you know? Well, because I've never kissed one of them before.
Virgin alert! Virgin alert! Virgin alert! Virgin alert!
What? He yelled in outrage. What are you waiting for? What am I waiting for? What is wrong with you? We've had this conversation before, a million times in fact. I sat at the table with him a long time before that event even. Months before that, chatting before he got ready for bed. He asked the exact same line of questions with an equal amount of outrage once he got his answers. Carson, when I was your age, I couldn't drive either. Is that the problem? My parents didn't help me get a license or a car either. I had them drive me around back then. There's no shame in that. And there's a million things I want to say to that, like how from the stories that I've heard, role model is not how I would describe that version of one of my favorite people. Even if he is a role model to me now, even if I look up to him now, if I had to write a 1 trillion word essay about that version of him, role model would not appear because he didn't have the guidance that I have. He didn't have the kind of father that I have. His decisions were different from the ones that I would have made in his stead. And that's pretty much due to him. But more importantly, it's not just that I can't get my car, let alone my license for that matter. It's not because Virginia changed the law. I can't just pay an uninsured driver's fee now. I can't get my license because then my parents' insurance will go up and then I have to make up the difference and I can't really afford to do that right now. And sure, it's infantilizing, and that's a huge problem in and of itself. Nanny states are a problem, but that's not the biggest problem. That's not what's on the chopping block. Like I've told everybody before, I'm waiting. On me, mostly. Because if I were one of them, I wouldn't look twice at me. And if I did, maybe I would get to know me, and then I would be disgusted. Because there's so many minor intricacies about me that grasp my attention. Problems that need ironing out before anything can happen. Anybody who has seen some of my content knows this. I struggle with terrible, terrible traits. I often feel like I'm an evil dude. I have terrible ideas, terrible everything all around. Like what? Dad asked me to confess at the kitchen table at 9:50 on a weekday. Well, come on, I said. What? He replied. I puffed my lips. Well, I'm not comfortable telling people that sort of thing. Oh, I thought I raised you all so you could talk to me about anything and everything. Well, thanks for taking it personally. But, like, so what? So I'm just supposed to sit at this table and lay bare every last thing that I don't like about myself and how, as of now, I'm relatively powerless to fix them? Am I supposed to say that I'm unhappy? That's not the truth. I'm not unhappy. I'm just waiting. What? I'm supposed to say I'm prone to lashing out, that I often feel like I can't control myself, that I'm cycling through bouts of highs and lows, that my thoughts are often derogatory and undisciplined, that I'm cynical, I'm impatient, and I'm greedy, and I'm naive, and I'm utterly broke, that most of my life I've spent just waiting for my opportunity to go and get a move on? Like, who the hell wants to hear any of that? Is that what you want? Is that what anybody wants? But what about what I want? Isn't that also important? People act like the entire goal is your first kiss and then sex. Even in a consciously religious household, it seems the only goal there has ever been is kissing and then sex, although that last part is said quietly, and that frustrates me. Or actually, maybe it's not said quietly. Maybe a better term for it is it's reworded. Instead of kissing and then sex, it's kissing and then children and grandchildren. And that's the goal, I guess. But the how and the when and the why and the who with, that's all irrelevant. Who cares? Just chase. Give chase. My entire world is so abhorrently sexually charged. My entire world and everybody around me's world revolves around chasing first kisses and then sex. My mistake, actually. I'm sorry. First kisses and then children. My friends, my family, my classmates, authority figures, everybody wants to dress that shit up and hang it on the fridge. Well, how come you don't pull, bro? Well, I guess I don't pull. I'm sorry. Where your hoes at? Okay, whatever. For example, prom nights and school dances were a huge deal in my house, but that's hoe shit. My mom was disappointed that COVID took my prom away, but I was relieved. Because even then, as a relatively unawake, unthinking amalgamation in the shape of a human, I realized I wasn't ready, and that is saying a lot. If I was able to realize something, that is speaking highly of myself, because back then, I didn't realize anything. But now I realize, too, that I don't know when I'll be ready. And that's scary, too. I realize that I can't just sit here and whine into a microphone all day. I realize I need to get a move on. I realize I am pushing 22 now, but so many things are still out of my control. Now, excuse this tangent. I can't force myself to finish college faster. Lord knows that I've tried. The registrar at my college just reworked their whole system in the past 2 semesters. With a week left, I was notified that I'm not graduating. I'm like, what? What do you mean I'm not graduating? So I sent them the screenshot. All green. All of my requirements have been met. They send me a screenshot back. It's a completely different version of the website with incorrect information. What I was sure had to be incorrect information. I made a spreadsheet. I talked to my advisor. I found out that all of us were looking at different versions of my graduation progress. Where I thought I had all green, I was set to graduate, I wasn't. And there's no way I could have known. I could not have reasonably planned for my graduation. So now I need to take a summer course just so I can graduate. And that throws a wrench into the plans. I planned on getting a job. I planned on making money. But now I need to maintain my full-time student status for what is all but 1 more semester just so I can keep scholarships so I don't spend more money. I planned on working so I could pay for car insurance even with no car just so I can get my license so I could afford a car in the future so I can drive to work so I can afford more car insurance so I could build. And sure, it's circular, but it would be building. But now I can't do that. I just can't force myself to get through all of these things. I can't force them to come to me. I simply have to wait for them. And that's what's frustrating. Now, I would like to reiterate something. It's not the case that I'm too infantilized to go interact with them. I can't. I have. It is not a case of me being a wallflower, sipping on my drink, hoping to God one of them approaches me first. It's not just a matter of myself thinking one day one will just pop up and that'll be that. It's not myself being too timid or elsewise refusing to interact with them. But I've never had a moment where I saw one of them that have frequented the same spaces as me, where I've been forced to watch from afar, because I don't think I've ever had a crush in the same way other people seem to have. I don't go head over heels at the sight of something pretty. I don't think I'm capable of it. Love at first sight does not exist to me. I have to know the person already. They have to be my friend. We have to hit it off. And I'm surprised it isn't like that for more people. I'm surprised when I hear my friends, my family, coworkers, colleagues and stuff tell me, oh my God, look at that. I don't want to. I don't care. I don't know it. I've had a few come up to me before. In high school, a rather pretty one called Lauren walked up to me at the end of German 1 and handed me a sappy little note. It saw me doodling and it wrote something along the lines of, I like your drawings, blah, blah, blah. Text me. So I texted it a little while, but I slowly let things die out because I was utterly uninterested. No, I liked that one, but I don't think it mattered. I was too young, and I think I recognized that too. Even 9th grade me recognized, yeah, I don't want that. Another one called Jessica made itself known to me. Now, again, I was too naive. Again, I was too young to understand that it even liked me. As it stood, I thought we were friends. Even though it clung to me for a while, even though it guided me between my classes unnecessarily, even though it had learned my schedule, or maybe it just got used to following me around before it would run off to its own classes. I thought we were just friends, and again, I met it in a German class. Bullet dodged, however, because it spent a few months out of school just to come back and announce to me that it was admitted to a psych ward. Whew! But it wasn't just back then. Just last semester, there was one just sitting on the steps outside of the math and science department on campus where I do my computer science work. I went to return a textbook I'd borrowed when I saw it sitting there, eyeing its phone with an anxious look. Its head was tilted. Its mouth was covered by a hand that had painted fingernails, and I left it there until I came back out. When I was done returning my book, I found it again. It hadn't moved an inch. Not 1 inch. I asked if it was all right, to which it told me, yeah, I just needed some fresh air. And that's when I spotted the back of its phone case. It had Unit 1 from Neon Genesis Evangelion on it, and that is my favorite show ever made. I've watched the main series and the end of Eva at least 9 times now. It's a comfort show at this point. I've watched the Rebuild films twice each. I'm in love with this show. In fact, I recently made a custom phone case with a template I made with some black spray paint and some paper I had lying around. Now, it's not a tribute, but I can't say that I wasn't thinking about the original, so to speak. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. Point is, I talked to it about the show that we both liked. Minutes and minutes kept us busy with stimulating conversation before it asked for my Snapchat. I winced. Well, I don't have a Snapchat. Oh, okay. Instagram? I don't have Instagram. Well, what do you have? And I pulled out my phone to prove to it that I literally don't use anything but YouTube. Now I use X, but that's just to promote my videos and save random stuff and save art that I like. I literally don't use it for anything else. Oh, it said. It was disappointed. God! I'm sorry, but I've got to go now, I said. And I cut it there. Now, I guess that's evidence against what I said before. Because I guess that's evidence that I did get nervous. But I don't remember if I was nervous. I don't think I was. I think I just didn't want to get its hopes up. But then you could argue, well, were you nervous you'd get its hopes up? Yeah, whatever. But I never even learned its name. That decision feels regrettable, but at the same time, sort of necessary. Or maybe necessary isn't the right word. Maybe I mean it felt relieving. It is a relief that it didn't get a chance. Because what if it did? Even though we really hit it off, it seemed, what if it got to know me? We had similar interests, after all. What more could you want other than a pleasant, stimulating conversation? I mean, looks, I guess. It all boils down to looks for most people. It was only mildly pretty, but it was a total catch, so who cares? That more than makes up for it. It was about as tall as me, maybe 10 or 15 pounds heavier than me, but that's not even saying much because from 13 to 20, I'd been riding the line between 18 and 19 BMI, which is almost underweight. Now I'm a much healthier 20.4, but I mean, all of this is just to say it was a little pretty. But still, I refused. I shut it down. I shut it out. Or was it more like I ran away? I don't remember what it was like fully. I only interacted with it for all of 10 minutes or so. I can't even remember what it fully looked like other than this vague outline. I can't remember if I was scared or enthralled, but I assume I was kind of both. But I'm also not sure if I made a huge mistake or not. I'm somewhat desperate to prove that it wasn't a mistake by finding a better one. But that also scares me. What happens if whatever one I trick into falling for me gets to know me? Surely I'll have to wear my Sunday's best for a while. I will have to present. And what if, in this hypothetical future, it wants to get married? Marriage scares me the most because a divorce is life-ending, especially given a large time investment. And you know what they say, 50% of marriages end in divorce now. Loyalty is hard to come by. And because of that, it seems like a lot of younger guys, me included, are coming to the conclusion that marriage is an utter scam. Because legally, it is. I want my wedding to have stakes for both of us or for neither of us. I don't want a divorce that ruins me and takes away all of the things that I love in one fell swoop. And that's a reasonable fear. That's a reasonable doubt. I don't want my unknowably poor judgment in the quality of one of them to ruin me. Looks are deceiving. Don't judge a book by its cover. Everybody has heard these things. I don't want it to ruin me, my family, my livelihood, because that's a scary thought. Because even a prenup can be tossed out by a judge if he merely suspects that it were signed under unfair terms or duress. For example, a time constraint. Some states can even throw out a prenup on the grounds that they won't enforce morality through contract. If my spouse and I decide to agree that if one of us were to cheat, the faithful one would be due some degree of compensation, the unfaithful one could get that clause stricken from the record because it punishes infidelity. And that's bull! We agreed on that! We shook hands! We wrote the contract! Why is it so subjective, too? Why does it depend fully on what court I'm assigned and what judge I get? And what happens if I have kids? That only exacerbates the problem. I did some research. They win custody battles across the board almost 90% of the time. So it is not totally inconceivable that I could one day buy a house before I even meet it. Then I would draft a prenup where it agrees that I get to keep the house that I bought with my money and my money only. Then, after I marry it and have kids with it, it could then divorce me and win custody of the kids and successfully argue that my prenup is invalid because of changing circumstances. It could argue that it'd be best for the kids if I were to lose the house it earlier agreed I would keep. The house that I bought with my own money before we even married. That's a thing that could very reasonably happen. And it's a thing that would be celebrated as a victory for the kids. How come I don't get custody of the kids off the bat then? Because I can afford it. It can't. So instead you're going to ruin me so it can? Don't get me wrong. I do want a wedding. I do want to get married. I want a beautiful reception. I want an elaborate traditional ceremony. I want a huge cake. I want a respectable pastor on stage quoting scripture. I want to see it in all of its glory walk to me in an elegant white dress and a veil covering its face for me to lift. I want to kiss it. I want to slow dance with it, and I want to be showered in awe from it and its family. And I want it to shower me in its own awe and its affection and their family's affection. And I want all of it. And I want children too. Although I don't want just a stupid piece of paper minted by the state that tells me that it's my boss now. Because as far as I'm concerned, legal marriage is a rather perverted concept. Because as is, in this day and age, anyways, it doesn't mean anything. I'd rather have an unendorsed but symbolic and healthy marriage than one that is like that. Did you know that a white dress isn't just a tradition, it's a symbol? It's supposed to represent purity and innocence and chastity and cleanliness. But no one cares about those sorts of things anymore. White is just the color you wear to your wedding because it's pretty. Not mine, screw that. Because if it loves me, it will understand why I won't do it. Fuck tax benefits and insurances and whatever other incentives comes with that dumb paper. Because I want to live in peace. I don't want a metaphorical piano dangling over my head by a string only being held up by one of them. No offense, but my judgment isn't perfect. And that's what's so hard. They are often the ones expectant of these things. They push for marriage more than men do, really. Stereotypically, they catch the bouquet while men try to stop them or run away. And it's all in good fun, but it's telling. Men don't want it, but they do. I've been trying to write a book for a few months, as some of you know, and one of the main characters is one of them. And God, is it exhausting to write, because I don't know how they think. A friend of mine, upon listening to a chapter I read out loud to them, said, "Wow, you sure know how to write a total bitch." But that is not what I was going for. Back to the drawing board with that one, I guess, maybe. But at the same time, it's not actually written like that. I know that. Another friend told me that it's written rationally and realistically. But I don't know. Because another one told me that it's not. I don't know how they act. I don't know how they act, or how they talk, or how they walk, or how they think. I'm going off of my perception, and my perceptions have standards, and my standards are sort of high. Like I said before, I wouldn't even date myself. That's how high they are. Not that I want to date someone like me, per se, but I also don't want someone too dissimilar, you know? They say opposites attract, but not to me. I'd prefer, or maybe this is to say that I expect one who's literate. I prefer one who can read and write good. I expect someone who can argue calmly. I expect one who's got the same interests as I do. I want a talker, a passionate, proud, loving talker. Is all that just to say I want me in a wig? Because I'd be stupid. That's absurd, but I want someone who shares my traditionally Christian beliefs too. I want someone who doesn't dress up, kisses and sex and pins it on the fridge. I want one that dignifies ourselves. Not to say that it can't be funny, because on the contrary, I love one that would keep up with me, or outrun me even. I want one that can banter all day and night and take and dish a creative insult. I want one who can stand toe-to-toe with me, who will fight me when I'm wrong and fight with me when I'm right. I don't care if it wants to work or stay at home. That's trivial. I care that it holds a lot of the values that I have. That's it. I care that it sees importance in the things that I care about. I care that it chases virtues. I care that it tries. I care that it cares too. I don't want one that does what they are so hell-bent on doing today. I don't want one that dresses to be seen. I don't want one that doesn't challenge me, that doesn't correct me. I want one that isn't afraid. It should say what we both know, that I have been intentionally ignoring this entire video. That it is not an it. It is a she.